So let me introduce you the lightest and easiest high gauge that ever been manufactured. This gauge work on a 12-inch times 6-inch granite plate together with a part to be measured. I will show you now that the gauge can measure heights, distances, width, internal diameter, external diameter, without any manipulation on the gauge except switch on. So I switch on the gauge, and from this moment I am not going to touch any button. So anyone of your employees can use this gauge without instruction. So the height is displayed on the screen. Another height. I will measure this distance. So I'm ready. Tack. Other face. I have the distance on the first line in my display, and I have the center line, so the distance from the granite plate to the center of my slot on the second line of my display. If I want to measure the width, I will act exactly the same. I touch one side here and here, and I have on the first line the width, and on the second line the distance between the granite plate and the center of this width. We can act exactly the same to measure internal and external bores. Internal first. I touch the bottom, I sweep the gauge other part to pick up the lowest point, go up, sweep to pick up the highest point, and just leave the place. And on the first line I read my diameter, and on the second line I read my center from the granite plate to the center of my bore. To measure external bores I will do exactly the same. I touch, I sweep, I touch on the top, and I sweep. And I have on the first line my diameter, on the second line my center. Should we need to measure the concentricity between the external and the internal bores? Just proceed as follows. Take the measurement of one of them, doesn't matter, the external or the internal, sweeping up there. So now I read the diameter and the center line of the second line. Now I want to know if this center line is at the same level of the center line of the internal bore. So by pressing the set key, I will zero the center position. So now my center position is on the center of the external bore I just measured. So now I can go internally and measure the internal one. Sweeping down here, and I have a fantastic result. 0, 0, 0, 0. So means my external bore and my internal bore are exactly at the same level. Thank you. I would like to add the fact that our gauge doesn't need to be calibrated every time you switch off. So as long as you don't change, don't move the probe here in and out and change the flexibility, of course, you can switch off, switch on again, and the gauge still remember the value of the probe. But if you need to do it because you change something, we have this part available. But again, it's not necessary.